T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have...
From its first flight in 1981 till its final landing in 2011, the Space Shuttle was the backbone of the American space program. Built upon the experience gained from Apollo, and with the goal of making a reusable spacecraft, NASA accomplished a feat that most thought was impossible. 5 complete shuttle systems were built and completed 135 missions to low Earth orbit. They conducted science experiments, deployed and fixed the Hubble Space Telescope, and helped to build the International Space Station, which is in healthy operation still. Using Kerbal Space Program, we'll take a deep dive into each mission looking at the crew, payload, and mission objectives. Join us on this walk through history. And hey, you just might learn something. I'm Cirrus JT, and this is Project STS. Alright, STS-4. Again, Space Shuttle Columbia. We'll be seeing a lot of Columbia in these early missions. Let me make sure I put the right crew in it to start off with. And those two awesome individuals are Thomas K. Mattingly. Where are you? There you are. Is the commander for this mission, and the pilot is Henry Hartsfield. Oh. It's the last shuttle mission with only 2 crew members too. So while this is moving up to the pad, STS-4 launched on June 27th, 1982, at 10 a.m. Eastern. It only happened 3 months after STS-3, which I know I mentioned before that they landed in White Sands, and because of all the gypsum dust, it took a little bit longer to refurb, but it still only took 3 months to get to STS-4, which is crazy. Also, I'm getting that, Thomas. I'm getting to that. So yeah, only taking 3 months, going from 1 to 2, 7 months, 2 to 3, 4 months, and then getting from 3 to 4, only 3 months of refurbishment. You're picking up the pace, which is awesome. Other than that, before we take off, this was actually the first shuttle that took off precisely on time. It only took the 4th time, but they actually launched on time on this mission. One working CSM pilot, yep, and we will discuss that after we get off the ground. Alright, STS-4 launching in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Oh, I still have trajectories on. Okay, so while we're heading up, so the commander, Thomas Mattingly, as Thomas mentioned already, he was the CM pilot for Apollo 16. Also, he was supposed to be the CM pilot for 13 as well, before obviously being replaced by Jack Swigert. It was later into flight. I know. I did know that, but I like to do it early because it becomes a little harder to do higher up with this craft file, because I tried it a couple times, and yeah. So yeah, I said it was a CM pilot for 16, supposed to be a CM pilot for 13, but was replaced. Most of you have probably seen that movie, Apollo 13. He wasn't too happy about it, but you know, but he did help massively getting the 13 crew back in that whole process, so that's good. Oh shoot! I need to pitch too. So we talked about Mattingly. Pretty famous Apollo guy. Henry Hartsfield. He's as Thomas also mentioned, he is a rookie. It was his first time into space in STS-4. His past experience was he is a capsule communicator for Apollo 16. So him and Mattingly probably talked a lot. He also was the capsule communicator on all 3 Skylab missions and on STS-1. So like I said, I bring up the support crew. We'll see a reoccurring theme with a lot of those names. So And speaking of support crew, for STS-4, the crew was Roy Bridges, was re-entry in Capcom, Michael L. Coates, S. David Griggs was the Ascent Capcom, along with Terry J. Hart. Capsule communicator for... Yeah, I wrote it that way, but yeah, you know what I mean. George D. Nelson and Brewster again. Brewster Shaw was another Capcom. So, a lot of reoccurring names are starting to pop up, either in the crew of the mission itself or the support staff. And once we get in orbit, we'll talk about the payload of this one, which actually also is it's a pretty straightforward payload. And it has an interesting twist to it that was actually made it kind of hard for this mission for me to recreate, but we'll talk about it once we get up there. Okay, returned. Or go for ET tank set. ET tank set confirmed. Is the in-flight roll while the engines are firing? Got it. Open up the rest of the shuttle tanks. Right tanks are primed. Love this process. Okay. Get our orbital insertion maneuver planned. Done. Bye, ET. So 40-second burn. Starts in 3 minutes 15 seconds. Go ahead and coast. While this is coasting, let's see, I talked about the crew, support staff. Okay, we'll get to the payload after we get into orbit. The payload's not as interesting as STS-3, if I'm being honest. Mostly because of one certain thing from the Air Force. Well, actually two of them, but... so it flew... So this is actually the most circular of the ones we've done so far. Flew to a perigee of 183 miles, with an apogee of 188, and an inclination of 28.5, which I believe is the same inclination of STS-3, just a less eccentric orbit. One other cool thing to note about STS-4 is the last test mission for the shuttle. At the conclusion of this one, if everything was successful, the shuttle became actually fully operational to NASA. So this mission was a big deal, obviously. Okay, so let's move on to payload / mission stuff. So in STS-3, I mentioned the Getaway Special. Those payloads that outside organizations from NASA can send up small payloads up on the shuttle in the payload bay if they wanted. And this was the first one that actually had Getaway Special payloads from Utah State University. There's actually two of them, so that's what these two capsules are. I couldn't find exactly what they were, what the experiments were, but they were from Utah State. Obviously the Canadarm, pretty standard going forward on STS missions. Along with the Getaway Special payloads, there were okay, never mind. I was like reading something else. There was two classified U.S. Air Force payloads, which actually trying to find pictures on STS-4's payload bay was kind of tough because they were classified payloads. So really the only picture is this box, which I'll touch on in a second. But yeah, there was two, what do they call them? They were missile launch detection systems that the Air Force wanted to launch. And the funny thing is, they were classified payloads, but the payloads didn't work. And there's a quote in here. Did I save the quote? I didn't. Dang it! I wish I thought I grabbed that quote. But Mattingly said something in the sorts of they really made these two classified sent us up with these two classified payloads and they didn't work. Like what the f? See if I can find that quote real quick. But yeah, that because it made recreating the payload a little tough when everything's classified. Let's see if I can find it pretty quickly. Yeah, here it is. Mattingly later described the classified payload as a rinky-dink collection of minor stuff they wanted to fly. Which you can kind of read between the lines in that one. Especially since they failed to operate, which is also funny. So along with that, I mentioned this little box here. And what this box was, it was called the Induced Environmental Contamination Monitor. Yeah, mouthful. It was similar to the PDP on STS-3, where it was moved around the orbiter in various spots and it was meant to measure gases and particles. So I think it was similar to PDP in its measuring stuff coming out of the orbiter, like contaminants, but it was looking for something different than the PDP. So I think they just wanted to make sure that anything that sat around the shuttle in orbit wasn't hazardous to any future missions. Yeah, I could see why you'd want to check that out. So, let's see if we can go ahead and grab this thing. I'm gonna, was it IECM? Actually, that's not even easier. IECM? Oh yeah, it worked. Alright. Oh, no. Get away from that. Okay, good. Alright, let's move around this IECM. Alright, I'm just gonna bring this straight back down and see if I can get it back planted on there. We'll bring this guy home and cross fingers, hopefully land it on a runway. Nice job, Hartsfield, manually. Canadarm is locked. Alright, time for the fun part. So yeah, I will talk, about the rest of this once we're on our way back down. Yeah, the rest of this has to do with after they landed. Oh, actually, there is not. Well, I did mention that it was the last mission to carry just 2 astronauts. It was all 3 or more from here on out. Also, this is actually a cool tidbit. I didn't know this. The SRB main chutes failed, so they weren't able to recover the SRBs, which is actually, other than STS-51, 51L, was the only other mission where they didn't recover the SRBs, which is pretty impressive. The 133 missions that, well, 34 that went to orbit, they only didn't recover SRBs twice. Again, crazy to think of. How many SRBs were built in total? I don't know that. Thomas, you may know this. They probably didn't refly SRBs, at least the hardware, because with SRBs are kind of easy enough to produce that I would think they would just produce them new for each one, but again, like, why would they recover them is kind of the counterpoint to that. But yeah, Grav, that's a good question. Yep, so the rest of this I will mention once we, let's see, let me do a quick Google search. Comes up with anything. Space Shuttle solid rocket booster. When they cost the same as a brand new one, but yes, they did reuse them. Okay. The refurb costs the same as the new one. That's... Then, okay. My next question is, why reuse them then? Because I would think they'd about, I don't know, about the same. Why not? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Deviator, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess you guys are right. I'm just thinking it's NASA, right? They're all about safety. Let's not bring up... Yeah, let's not bring the other ones up, but since they're all about safety, I figured they would want, you know, new hardware on those SRBs every mission. But much like they're for the commercial crew program, SpaceX is, at least right now, isn't allowed to reuse boosters for manned missions. I figured they'd have the same mentality, but maybe that was different for the Space Shuttle. I don't know. I can't really see much how many were actually built in total, but I'm sure that's somewhere. Oh, there is an interesting tidbit here in Wikipedia that's the final set of SRBs that launched STS-135, the final mission, included parts that flew on 59 previous missions, including STS-1. Okay, that's a interesting fact. STS-1 hardware was flew on STS-135. Wow. Wow. I'm gonna have to read this whole article here later. Because if there's stuff like that in there. Maybe they just had the same money to keep budgets flowing. Deviator, you're probably not entirely wrong there either. You're probably not entirely wrong there either. Alright. Locking up Payload Bay. One thing KSP2 needs is clustering engines together. So that, like, you could open up this menu and do actions on them, and it does it to that cluster of engines. Because, like, I don't have to, like, if I'm shutting them down and locking the gimbal, I have to click it 4 times rather than just 2. I wonder if I should try... So, with this ascent profile that I used, I went steeper. Not by choice, it was accident, but the shuttle was much more stable on ascent. And I still got to a pretty good orbit. I did have to pitch over quite far to avoid my apoapsis getting way too high, but it wasn't bad. Okay, I'm gonna pitch up. Try and kill some of this speed off a little bit. Just coming in a little bit fast still. Okay, off. I shut this off a little bit too early. That's alright. We're okay. We're alright. Pitching down. 420 meters per second. Nice. Alright, shuttle. Do shuttle things. Glide like a brick. Why are you trying to pitch up? Stop. I'm telling you to pitch down. I think I may have accidentally killed off too much speed coming in. Oops. Oh, we're still too heavy. One of the two. Oh my god, why are you... I don't understand why you're being so fidgety. I'm gonna turn that off. I wonder if I'm still going a little too fast. Alright, shuttle. Keep shuttling. Keep shuttling. I need this landing. Can I let go of the stick now? You'll fly stable at 20 degrees down? Yeah, we're gonna be short. Wait, how much more fuel do I have? $53. Come on, baby. We're at 3 kilometers still. Don't let me down, Hartsfield. Don't let me down, man. I need this. See my shadow. That's actually helpful. Shuttle. Getting dangerously low on speed, which kind of stinks. I think we'll be okay. Those RCS posts are, I think, maybe not helping. I should be out of fuel by now. Come on, baby. Yaw. I don't have time for corrections right now. $30 meters. 20. Touchdown. Shoot deploy. Doing the shuttle bounce. Woo! Did it. It took the 4th time, but we landed on the runway. Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. STS-4, welcome back. Alright, I have a few other things I want to say about STS-4 now that we're landed. So, as I brought up at the start, it was the last test flight of the mission, so as of now, the shuttle was considered fully operational. Also, due to that being fully certified, on the next mission, Columbia's ejection seats were, which I actually forgot it had ejection seats for the first 4 missions, but they were turned off, and the crews were not required to wear pressure suits anymore, up until STS-26. It was the first shuttle landing to land at a concrete runway at Edwards Air Force Base, which, for me too, I guess, which is kind of funny. And Ronald Reagan and his wife greeted the crew as they got off the orbiter, and Reagan gave a speech after they landed, and Challenger flew over atop the shuttle carrier 747. I think it was after the speech or during the speech, I don't remember. But yeah, they flew Challenger over on its way to KSC. So we'll be seeing Challenger in the near future. Yeah, and I think that concludes STS-4. I think it was a good bunch to do.